We're here. And we're ready to fight. I don't like you, because you smell like fight. Okay, here we go, I suppose.
In the middle of the countryside, and a young man known as El Chino is being chased by a mysterious person that keeps demanding information. This person catches up with him and starts beating him up, but El Chino insists he doesn't know anything before he's knocked out. When he wakes up minutes later, the mysterious person is throwing him into a pit and burying him alive. Sometime later in the city, police officer Martin says goodbye to his family before going to work. He's recently been transferred to another precinct and this is his first day on the new job. As soon as he arrives though, they give him a very important task: prisoner transfer with fellow officer Montesinos. The trip will be done at night and they'll have to cross the countryside to make a shorter time and not suffer the freezing cold more than necessary. The reason why this is done so late is for discretion and safety. This is also why the cops aren't allowed to keep their phones and the prisoners aren't told about the transfer until a few hours before they're picked up. When Martin and Montesinos arrive at the prison, they're informed they'll be relocating 6 prisoners. Most of them are guilty of small crimes, but Romanian criminal Mihai is part of an international trafficking network, and Pardo is a former politician. The other 4 are Golem, Ray, Nano, and lastly Ramus, who has a special lockpick hidden in his cell and intends to bring it with him. All 6 prisoners are taken to a room where Montesinos inspects their bodies to be sure they aren't hiding anything, and Martin takes anything they may have on them, like jewelry or books, and puts them in their bags with the rest of their stuff. During the inspection, Nano has the nerve to insult Montesinos, which makes him angry and aggressive. The cop intends to punish Nano for his transgression, but Martin quickly stops him before things escalate. Afterward, the prisoners are taken to the armored truck, which has a cell for each of them. Most of them have their handcuffs removed except for Mihai and Ramus, whom Montesinos is very wary of. Before leaving, Montesinos also has a talk with Martin, asking him to be less of a stickler for the rules, but Martin refuses because rules are the only way to maintain order. For the duration of the trip, Martin will be the one driving the truck while Montesinos travels in the back with the prisoners. There's a camera in that area that tells Martin what's going on back there, and of course both officers have their walkie-talkies. Ahead of them, a police car with 2 more officers escorts the truck. Near the woods area, the mysterious person knows the cops are coming, so he puts a spike strip in the middle of the road to stop them. Meanwhile in the truck, the prisoners begin arguing over politics and their crimes, so Montesinos asks Martin to turn up the heat as they requested, hoping that will help them sleep. As the mysterious person drives past them and gets ahead, Ramus asks permission to go to the toilet, so Montesinos takes him there and temporarily removes his handcuffs. This allows Ramus to recover his lockpicking tools, which he had hidden in his rear. The further they go into the woods road, the thicker the fog becomes, and Martin loses sight of the police car. The officers don't answer their walkie-talkies either, and right as Martin begins wondering what's going on, the truck reaches the spike strip, being forced to stop. The prisoners begin theorizing about what happened, thinking this may be Mihai's powerful friends coming to the rescue. Martin can see the police car among the trees, but the officers still won't answer, so Montesinos decides to come out to investigate. Once he's gone, Mihai clarifies this isn't his people, and Ramus begins working on unlocking his handcuffs and the door with his tools while he discusses with the others a possible escape plan. A few moments pass and Montesinos doesn't answer his walkie-talkie either, causing Martin to decide to come out to investigate too. With his gun out, he walks down the road and finds an unconscious Montesinos on the ground. At that moment, the mysterious person begins shooting at him from his hiding spot among the trees, so Martin takes Montesinos' keys and runs to take cover next to the police car. The car is on its side, both officers are dead, and when a stray bullet hits the hood, it leaves Martin deaf and disorientated for a few minutes. He tries to shoot back but it only ends with Martin wasting all his bullets, so he runs back to the truck, giving the mysterious person the chance to hit him on his thigh. Martin enters the truck cabin and tries to contact headquarters to no avail. The truck won't start either, and seeing as the shots are now damaging the glass, it's just a matter of time before a bullet reaches him. Seeing as he has no other choice if he wants to survive, Martin runs to the back of the truck and locks the door behind him before rushing to the first aid kit to take care of his wound. The prisoners want to know what's happening, but Martin refuses to tell them, and he gets distracted when he notices on the cameras that the mysterious person is entering the cabin. This is the perfect chance for Ramus to come out of his cell and jump on Martin, starting a fight. Things are pretty equal between them until Martin realizes the prisoners don't know he's out of bullets, so he takes out his gun and threatens Ramus with it to make him stop. Ramus swears he doesn't know who the person outside is, but before they can discuss things further, Pardo and Ray notice something strange in their cells. Someone is pouring gas inside to then start a fire. Since this is an emergency, Martin opens their cells to help. He uses the fire extinguisher on Pardo, but it's too late for him, he's already dead. Ramus helps Ray, whose only body part on fire is his leg. Once they put it out, together they free the rest of the prisoners, and the group approaches Martin, who is only managing to keep them back thanks to his gun. The tense moment is interrupted when Martin's walkie-talkie comes to life with a mysterious person's voice explaining a few things. He says the only key that will open the back door of the truck is in Martin's possession, and that he only wants them to open the door, not caring about what they'll do afterward. Before hanging up, he also mentions Martin is out of bullets. Martin tries to tell the prisoners that they can't trust this guy, but it's pointless. The group jumps on him to try to take the key. As he defends himself, Martin drops the key on the floor and runs towards the other end of the truck to keep the prisoners' attention on him. However, Mihai and Nano see the keys fall and Mihai gets to them first, causing Nano to pick up the fire extinguisher and beat him to death with it after stealing the keys from him. The rest of the group comes to calm him down and ask for the keys, and their argument is interrupted when the walkie-talkie comes to life again. The mysterious guy knows Nano by name and reveals he only wants him, so the others can leave if they turn Nano to him. Before hanging up this time, he also tells them not to believe Nano because he's a liar. Nano proceeds to explain the voice is Miguel, a former corrupt cop that is accusing him of something he didn't do. The other prisoners don't care though, they just want to escape, and when Miguel speaks again through the walkie-talkie, it's to mention he's killed El Chino. Hearing that his friend is dead and seeing as the others want to turn him in, Nano goes crazy and another fight begins, which ends with Nano swallowing the key so nobody can take him to Miguel. While Martin is knocked up by the prisoners, Miguel changes the tires of the truck before going back to his car to have a warm drink and pick up some tools. Back to the truck, Martin wakes up to discover he's been locked up with Nano by using a handcuff on the door. The two dead bodies are being put inside their cells, and Miguel has used his tools to shut down the heater and the lights, so they're left with only the emergency bulbs and a freezing chill. As the prisoners open the storage compartment to get their bags back, Miguel hotwires the truck and begins driving away. He also opens communications again through the walkie-talkie, so Ramus tries to negotiate, explaining what happened to the key. However, Miguel forbids them to kill and open Nano to recover the key because he needs him alive, so the prisoners will have to find some other way to escape. Tired of this, Nano tears off the security camera's wires, then swears to Martin that he didn't do anything, he's just scared. He also starts crying as he explains El Chino was like a brother to him. Ramus finds some tools inside a drawer and thinks maybe they could use them to escape, so Ray accepts to enter the narrow storage compartment to see what he can find. Back on the road, Montesinos is waking up. He's been shot in the leg and stomach so he's bled a lot, but he's still alive. As he investigates the area and finds the dead officers, he uses his walkie-talkie to try to contact headquarters and ask for help. He doesn't get an answer, but he does find Miguel's car, which has so interesting things inside. Lots of colorful stickers, a gun, pictures of Miguel's family, and a newspaper clip that says they still can't find the body of Miguel's daughter. In the truck, Ray uses the tools to try to open a lid in the storage compartment while Ramus teases Martin for his bad memory. It turns out they've seen each other before because Ramus was the one that sang at Martin's wedding. Suddenly, the truck begins going faster. It's because of Montesinos, who has shown up in Miguel's car and is trying to shoot him. Miguel tries to push the car off the road with the truck, so Montesinos speeds up to drive ahead of him, intending to get him to stop. However, Miguel responds by going even faster and hitting him from behind, making the car hit a tree and killing Montesinos for good this time. The truck comes to a sudden stop when Miguel hits the brakes, causing Ray to be pushed forward and hit his head against a screw, instantly dying as well. Miguel gets off the truck to check if Montesinos is really dead before reloading his rifle while he considers his next move. Then, he goes back to the truck and begins driving again, opting for his most desperate plan yet. Ramus tries to talk to him through the walkie-talkie and at first, Miguel ignores him, but eventually he gives in and responds by saying the sun is rising, so this is Nano's last chance to confess. Nano still claims not to know what he's talking about, so Miguel hangs up, ignoring Martin's questions. A few moments later, they arrive at a frozen lake. Miguel stops the truck in the middle of it and shoots a few holes around the vehicle before walking away to wait for the inevitable. The ice cracks and breaks, causing the truck to slowly begin sinking. Water starts flooding the inside of the truck, so Martin plays his last card. He confesses there's an emergency exit. He only didn't mention it before because he thought they were safer inside the truck. He'll tell them the location if they free him, so Ramus takes out his lockpick to work on the handcuffs. A sudden movement from the truck makes him drop the tool in the water, so Golem volunteers to swim down and recover it. As the truck keeps shaking, Golem manages to grab the lockpick and bring it back to Ramus, but sadly, his sick body doesn't survive the trip and he dies as soon as he resurfaces. Ramus manages to free the others right before the truck finally sinks and Martin points at the fake panel that hides the emergency exit. Nano wastes no time and escapes, but Ramus is clinging to Golem's body, so Martin must drag him out with him before he drowns. It's easy for Nano to reach the surface and he immediately runs away, unaware that Miguel has seen him and is going after him. Ramus also comes out easily, but Martine is having trouble climbing onto the ice. Luckily for him, Ramus returns the favor and drags him out of the water before giving him CPR. Such an act of kindness inspires Martine not to try to arrest Ramus. Instead, he wishes him luck and shakes his hand. Afterward, Martine follows the sound of a rifle being fired to find an abandoned building. There, he sees Miguel at a window shooting at Nano, who is hiding behind a wall. Martine enters the room Miguel is in and asks him to surrender, which prompts Miguel to admit he will do so after he achieves justice. The truth is that months ago, during a festival, Nano and El Chino slipped some alcohol into Miguel's 13-year-old daughter's drink. Then they took advantage of her intoxicated mind.
What?
And once they were done with the abuse, they tortured her too, using pliers and a glass bottle. She was still alive when they tied her to a car they stole that same night to drag her through the ground for hours, and yet, the police still hasn't found the body, only Nano knows where it is. The investigation was pointless too, because there wasn't enough proof to send the boys to jail, which has taught Miguel that the legal system doesn't work. The reason why he knows all the details is that El Chino confessed everything before Miguel killed him. Now, he only wants to know where the body is so he can take it to his hometown and give it a proper burial. Nano notices Miguel is distracted, so he tries to run away, causing Miguel to shoot and hit him on the leg. The rifle quickly runs out of bullets though, so while Miguel reloads, Martine takes the chance to jump on him to try to stop him. Both men begin beating each other up and Martine uses a glass shard he finds on the floor to stab Miguel's hand, giving him an opening to pick up the rifle. Miguel ignores him, running out of the room to follow the blood trail Nano has left behind, and Martine decides to go after them too after reloading his weapon. When Martine finds them, Miguel is trying to beat the information out of Nano, so Martine fires a warning shot. Miguel gets distracted, giving Nano the opportunity to push him off him, and now neither of them can move because they're on the other end of Martin's rifle. Suddenly, a helicopter appears above them. It's the police looking for them. Thinking he's safe now, Nano begins insulting and making fun of Miguel, saying he'll never tell him the location of the body. Seeing Nano's true colors makes something snap in Miguel, who shoots Nano on the foot and then his hand until he finally confesses where he hid the dead girl. As Miguel begins crying, more police officers show up and Martine surrenders. Many days later, a retired Martine stops by the police station to retrieve his belongings from his locker and sees another officer replace Montesinos' name with a new recruit. Then Martine leaves the precinct, lost in thought about the workings of the system. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Movie Caps. Today, I will show you a horror film from 2011, titled, The Tunnel. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. During a water shortage crisis in New South Wales, the government plans to recycle and use the extensive underground water reservoir, located inside the network of tunnels, under the railway tracks in Sydney. A huge amount of money is dedicated to setting up a recycling plant, and the government officials are passionate about making it work. A journalist named Natasha is being interviewed, and explains that she, along with her team, had decided to cover this project. Although it can help overcome the water shortage, many people are concerned this might affect the homeless people living inside the tunnels, because they would have to move somewhere else. The government begins evicting them from the tunnels, but it is almost impossible, due to the extensive network, and the utter darkness, that makes it difficult to navigate. Soon, the Environment Minister claims that the area has been evacuated, and the project is going to start soon. In her interview, Natasha explains that although officials were quite optimistic about the project, it had suddenly disappeared from the media, without giving any logical explanation to the public. The situation made her realize something serious was going on, so she decided to dig in to get more information, as it was her job to uncover the facts. Natasha then explains how she, along with her crew including Steve, the cameraman, Tangles, the sound engineer, and Pete, their producer, covered this story. While doing her usual research, she comes across a video of some guys roaming around these underground tunnels, but one of them suddenly disappears. This video, along with the government's unexpected decision to close the project, intrigues her, and she plans to cover this story. When she shares her idea with her boss John, he asks her to contact Pete, who is about to go to China for his next assignment. Knowing he might have to leave his own project to cover this story, she feels uncomfortable bothering him, as she and Pete do not get along. When she hesitantly discusses it with him, he reacts as expected, and protests to John, who still favors Natasha, and urges him to go with her. Once the group agrees to take on the project, they start attending different government conferences, to find further details about the closure of the recycling project. During this time, they also learn that not only are the homeless guys still living in the tunnels, some of them mysteriously went missing as well. Natasha also questions the environment minister about this ongoing controversy, but he refuses to answer any questions on this subject matter. Seeing this, the team thinks the government is well aware of what's going on inside the tunnels, but is intentionally hiding the facts from the public. As the next step, Natasha starts visiting different shelters, to find any homeless guys who once lived down there. During her search, she comes across a guy named Trevor, and decides to interview him, as he was also a resident there. While interviewing him, they ask him about the living environment inside the tunnels. They also ask him if he knows someone in his community who went missing from the tunnels. This question disturbs him, and he starts to panic just by thinking about it. Seeing his intense reaction, the team is now sure there is something serious going on underneath, and they must dig in for further information. After they decide to visit these tunnels to look by themselves, Natasha calls the transport department to make the necessary arrangements, but learns no one is allowed to go there. Being determined to work on this story at any cost, she lies to her friends, saying although they don't have any permit, their boss John will cover for them if something bad happens. At night, they arrive at the entrance, but are stopped by the security guard, who reveals no one is allowed to enter the restricted area. Natasha also tries to bribe him, but it offends him even more, and he asks them to leave. The team does not give up, and finds an alternate route to enter the tunnels. As the scene switches to Steve's interview, he explains he had a strange feeling about that place, so he decided to film every moment, thinking if something goes wrong, they will use the footage as evidence, to prove it was Natasha who urged them to go there. He also tells the audience that they closed the doors behind them to cover their tracks, but now he thinks it was the biggest mistake they made. They eventually get to the tunnels, but realize it's completely dark inside, and they can't see anything without turning on the flashlights. They also find out about the complex network, and learn it won't be easy to find their way back. There are numerous tunnels branching in every direction, and some of them are not even mentioned on the maps. As a first impressions, they think the area is not just massive, but has a scary feel, due to the darkness and complete abandonment. After walking a few meters, they come across the stuff of homeless guys, revealing the government failed to evacuate the area, and was lying about it to the general public. Natasha explains, the tunnels were initially built as the Underground Railway network, but were also used as air raid shelters during World War II. The area is fully equipped, with all the necessary amenities required by the soldiers, to stay there for extended time periods. After proceeding further, and taking a few shots for the documentary, they arrive at a lake, and start recording the video, in which Natasha reveals about finding the water reservoir, that has been the topic of recent controversy. During the recording, Tangles hears a strange sound, and asks them about it, but they deny hearing anything at all. They resume the video, but he still complains about the noise, which they think is a technical fault, but he is sure something else is going on in the background. Continuing the journey, they arrive in the bell room, which was used to alert people during the air raids. Natasha rings the bell, but the sound is extremely loud. As the sound is deafening for Tangles, who is using headphones, he goes to the adjoining room to catch a better quality, and asks Steve to hear the audio for him. When she rings the bell again, Steve also hears the strange noise, but before they can discuss it, something grabs Tangles. They quickly rush out of the room to chase him, but can't find him anywhere. At this point, the scene switches to Natasha's interview, where she is given the audio clip from the bell room. After turning it on, she is stunned to hear the screams before the cable snaps. After failing to find any clue about Tangles, the team returns to the bell room, but all of their stuff is gone. Sensing the seriousness of the situation, Pete advises them to stick together, before resuming the search again. As they go forward, Natasha thinks maybe Tangles took their stuff as a joke. Steve disagrees, as he has also heard the strange voice through the headphones. After arriving in a hallway that leads to another network of tunnels, they rest for a while, and discuss the possibility of Tangles going back, but Natasha thinks he cannot leave in such a short time, and is still inside. While sitting there, they hear a sound, and start following it in search of him. The group then comes across a room, filled with still dripping blood, and finds Tangle's torch on the floor. This situation creates fear, and Natasha thinks whatever took him might be close, so they should leave the area immediately. After coming out, she finds out that her camera has been moved from the place where she left it, although they were inside for just a few minutes. Upon looking at the footage, they learn that someone picked it up, recorded them in the room, and left just before they came out. Pete gets scared of the situation, and suggests getting out of there, but Steve refuses to leave without Tangles. They argue with each other, but Pete convinces him to come with him, saying they can be safer if they stay together, and he unwillingly agrees, thinking he is leaving his friend behind. While trying to find an exit, they hear someone calling them, and find it's the security guard, who tried to stop them earlier. As they tell him about Tangles, he gets afraid, and starts walking away, while ignoring their request for help. They go after him, but as he reaches the corner, something grabs him and disappears into another tunnel. The group screams out of horror, and rushes back to another room, where they remain hiding to make sure that the thing that captured the security guard has left the surroundings. After treating Steve's injured arm, they resume the journey, but find two different tunnels that are not mentioned on the map. Pete thinks instead of going forward, they should wait there, and John will eventually send someone to rescue them. When he shares it with Steve, he agrees, but Pete learns Natasha never told John about coming down there. He starts arguing with her about her irresponsible behavior, but she says she needed to cover the story at any cost. Pete gets angry with her, and holds her responsible for Tangle's death. He angrily snatches the camera from her, and forces her to record a video, explaining how they lost a friend due to her selfishness, but she is unable to say anything. After the argument, Pete starts walking again, but hears a strange sound, so they extinguish all the lights, and use a night vision camera to look at the source of the sound, but find the security guard in a miserable state. Soon, the group watches in horror, as a humanoid creature appears from the water, and kills him, by slowly turning his head until his neck breaks. Seeing this, Natasha cannot hold her scream, and alerts the creature, that starts chasing them down. While trying to escape, they arrive at a dead end, with a vent in the corner of the room. Panicked by fear, Natasha starts calling someone for help from above the ground, but no one answers. After the failed attempt, they pass through another passage, where the creature nearly grabs Pete, but vanishes after Steve shines the light on it, which makes them realize he is afraid of light. After rescuing him, they resume walking, but end up at another dead end covered with wood planks. They remove the wood, and find a way to the next room, where they find some signs of a living, and spot human flesh on the floor. Suddenly the light goes
Just
off,
a patch of
and
eyeballs.
Pete quickly replaces the batteries, knowing they might be in danger, as long as they are in the dark. As soon as the light switches on again, the creature attacks Pete and Steve, while scared Natasha runs away with her night vision camera. She silently tries to find a way out, but is confronted by the creature, who drags her into the lake, while the camera still records. Hearing her screams, Peter and Steve start looking for her, and follow the sound to the lake, where Pete challenges the monster to distract him, while Steve takes Natasha away. After arriving at a well-lit tunnel, they rush back, and recover badly wounded Pete, whom they drag near the platform. After making it to the station, Natasha borrows someone's phone, and makes a call for help. The postscript indicates that Pete died due to excessive internal bleeding. Natasha resigned from her job as a journalist, and Steve is still working as a news and current affairs cameraman. They never found Tangles, and his family is still waiting for some news about him. While the police investigation was closed,
Tangles took
due to
that
the
L.
contradictory
Tangle in
evidence.
hell.
The end. Thank
Tangles
you for
took that
watching.
L.
Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications and leave a like to help the channel out.
Tangles took an L, yeah. Tangles in hell, yeah. Tangles is in hell. Tangles took an L.
Welcome back to Movie